My name is Max, and this story, it's the hardest experience of my life. I never thought I'd be telling it with such pain, but here I am. It's about Anna, the woman I once loved so deeply I couldn't imagine life without her. It's about how I discovered that even the strongest love can turn into a knife in your back, just when you least expect it. Anna and I met at a friend's birthday party. Funny thing is, I hadn't even wanted to go. I'm not the biggest fan of loud parties or crowds, and I was exhausted after a long workday. But my friends insisted, so I went. The room was packed with strangers, music blaring, laughter filling the air. And then I saw her. She was standing by herself, smiling that kind of warm, effortless smile that drew everyone to her. She was radiant, alive, different from anyone else there. Our eyes met across the room, and I felt this magnetic pull that wouldn't let me look away. I knew I had to talk to her. We struck up a conversation that lasted the entire night. Anna told me about her dreams, her plans to travel, her longing to discover the world and never settle for less. She spoke with such passion that I was captivated, drawn in. By the end of that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. I felt alive, and I knew that I wanted to see her again. From that night on, we were nearly inseparable. We spent almost every free moment together, exploring the city, sharing our thoughts, dreams, and goals. There were nights we just walked through the city, hand in hand, talking about everything under the stars. I felt like I'd finally found someone who understood me, someone who shared my outlook on life and valued what I did. A year went by, and we decided to move in together. I couldn't have been more excited. I imagined us building a home together, creating a place filled with warmth and love. I pictured us making every decision together, from picking out furniture to choosing the color of the walls. And that's exactly what we did. Our apartment became a sanctuary that reflected both of us. Every corner of that space felt like us, like home. That first year we lived together flew by. Every morning, I woke up next to her, grateful that she was in my life. We were a team, best friends, partners in everything. She was everything to me, and I believed that I was everything to her. We planned our future together, talked about trips we'd take, and the life we wanted to build. I thought we were unbreakable. But then, things started to change. Slowly at first, almost unnoticeable. Anna began spending more time at work, saying she was busy with projects. She started going out more with friends, or so she said. It all seemed fine at first. Everyone needs their own space, and I wanted her to have hers. But gradually, things became harder to ignore. One evening, she came home late, later than usual. I was waiting for her with dinner, trying to create a nice night for us, hoping to remind her of our early days. But when she walked in, she barely glanced at the table, muttered a quick "hi," and went straight to her phone. She seemed distracted, distant. I brushed it off, telling myself it was probably just work stress. But that night stuck with me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She didn't look at me the same way she used to, and our conversations became shallow. She no longer seemed interested in the plans we used to make, and our evenings together felt colder, emptier. In the weeks that followed, I started noticing more things. She was hiding her phone, spending time in another room, avoiding sharing her day with me. The feeling of dread gnawed at me, but I kept trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was all in my head. Maybe it was just a phase. I loved her, so I pushed the thoughts away, determined to trust her. One day, I came home a bit early. Her phone was lying on the kitchen counter, which was odd since she usually kept it with her. I glanced at it, and a message flashed on the screen, from someone I didn't know. It was a short message: "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." My heart pounded, but I quickly told myself it was probably nothing, maybe just a friend or a colleague. But the unease settled in and refused to leave. Over the next few weeks, I kept quiet but started watching her more closely. I felt a growing distance between us, and every time she went out without me, my suspicions intensified. I told myself I was overthinking it, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing her. And then one evening, she mentioned another meeting with friends, and I snapped. I decided to follow her, to get the answers I desperately needed. I trailed behind her at a distance, careful not to be seen. She walked a few blocks, then turned into a quiet little cafe on the edge of town. Standing outside, waiting for her, was a man. He was tall, smiling warmly at her as she approached. She walked up to him and hugged him, not a friendly hug but the kind of embrace that was once reserved for me. I stood frozen, unable to believe what I was seeing. They went inside, laughing and talking, oblivious to the world around them, or to me, watching from across the street. My world shattered in that moment. Everything I'd believed in, everything I thought we were, gone. I walked back home in a daze, barely aware of my surroundings. The next day, I confronted her, asked her if there was someone else. She looked at me, her face blank, and after a long silence, she simply nodded. That was it. She packed up her things, left, and I was alone. Alone in an apartment filled with memories of us, reminders of the life I thought we'd share. I didn't know how to move on, how to rebuild myself. But as time passed, I began to heal. I learned to value myself, to be cautious, to never give away my trust so easily again. I'm not the same person I was, but maybe that's a good thing.